Raymond Cattell's pioneering work in personality psychology has left an indelible mark on our understanding of human behavior. As we delve into the fascinating life and legacy of this psychological giant, get ready to uncover the profound insights that transformed our understanding of the human psyche forever. Born on March 20, 1905, in Hilltop, Staffordshire, England, Cattell grew up in a family that valued education and encouraged intellectual curiosity. His father, Charles Cattell, was a skilled engineer and inventor, whose creative problem-solving skills would later influence Raymond's approach to research. The young Cattell spent much of his childhood reading and exploring the outdoors, developing a deep appreciation for the natural world and the complexities of human behavior. Cattell's educational journey began at Cambridge University, where he studied chemistry and physics. However, it was during his time at Cambridge that he became increasingly fascinated with psychology, particularly the works of Charles Spearman and Francis Galton. These early influences would later shape his theories on intelligence and personality. After completing his undergraduate degree, Cattell went on to pursue a PhD in psychology under the guidance of Charles Spearman, who is often credited with developing the concept of general intelligence, or G. This mentorship had a profound impact on Cattell's development as a researcher, as he began to explore the complexities of human personality and cognitive abilities. As Cattell delved deeper into the world of psychology, he became increasingly interested in the concept of trait theory. He believed that personality could be understood through the identification of specific traits, which were relatively stable across different situations and contexts. This idea would become a cornerstone of his life's work, as he sought to develop a comprehensive framework for understanding human personality. Through his research, Cattell identified several key traits, including extroversion, neuroticism, and conscientiousness, which would later become foundational elements of the Big Five personality traits. One of the most significant contributions Cattell made to the field of psychology was his development of factor analysis, a statistical technique used to identify underlying patterns and relationships within complex datasets. This method allowed researchers to reduce large amounts of data into more manageable and meaningful components, revealing insights that would have otherwise remained hidden. Cattell's work on factor analysis had far-reaching implications, enabling psychologists to better understand the structure of personality and cognitive abilities. For instance, his use of factor analysis led to the identification of fluid intelligence, which refers to the ability to reason and solve problems in novel situations. Throughout his career, Cattell collaborated with several prominent psychologists, including Hans Eysenck and Joy P. Guilford. These relationships not only shaped his research, but also influenced the development of his theories. For example, his work with Eysenck on the concept of personality traits led to a deeper understanding of the interplay between genetic and environmental factors in shaping human behavior. Cattell's interactions with his contemporaries also sparked lively debates and discussions, which would ultimately contribute to the advancement of the field. As Cattell's career progressed, he became increasingly fascinated with the concept of motivation and its role in shaping human behavior. He believed that motivation was a crucial factor in determining an individual's personality, and he spent many years researching and developing his theory of urges and sentiments. According to Cattell, urges refer to innate motivational patterns, such as the desire for food or sex, while sentiments referred to learned motivational patterns, such as the desire for social status or prestige. Cattell's work on motivation led him to develop a complex and multifaceted theory of personality, which he outlined in his book, Personality and Motivation Structure and Measurement. In this work, Cattell argued that personality was composed of multiple layers, including the surface-level traits that were easily observable, as well as deeper, more underlying motivations and desires. He believed that understanding these underlying motivations was essential for truly grasping an individual's personality and behavior. One of the most significant contributions Cattell made to the field of psychology was his development of the 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire. This assessment tool was designed to measure an individual's personality across 16 different dimensions, including traits such as extroversion, anxiety, and independence. The 16PF was widely used in research and clinical settings, and it remains one of the most popular and well-respected personality assessments in use today. Cattell's work on the 16PF also led him to explore the concept of personality types, which he believed could be identified through factor analysis. He argued that certain combinations of traits were more common than others, and that these combinations could be used to identify distinct personality types. For example, Cattell identified a type that he called the XBA, which was characterized by high levels of extroversion, sociability, and assertiveness. Throughout his career, Cattell was known for his collaborative spirit and his willingness to engage with critics and skeptics. He was a prolific writer and correspondent, and he maintained a lively dialogue with many of his contemporaries, including Hans Eysenck and Joy P. Guilford. Despite their differences, Cattell and Eysenck maintained a deep respect for one another, and they engaged in a series of lively debates and discussions that helped to shape the field of personality psychology. However, Cattell's work was not without controversy. Some critics argued that his theory of urges and sentiments was too complex and difficult to test empirically. Others criticized his use of factor analysis, arguing that it was a statistical technique that was prone to error and misinterpretation. Additionally, some researchers questioned the validity and reliability of the 16PF, arguing that it did not provide a comprehensive or accurate picture of an individual's personality. During this time, Cattell was working at the Hospital for Nervous Diseases in London, where he encountered numerous soldiers struggling with what would later be termed post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. These interactions led him to question the prevailing views on personality and motivation, ultimately influencing his development of the concept of urges, innate motivational patterns that drive human behavior. Cattell's work with soldiers also sparked an interest in the role of environmental factors in shaping personality. He began to explore how traumatic events could influence an individual's motivational structure, leading to changes in their behavior and overall well-being. This line of inquiry would eventually contribute to his theory of sentiments, learned motivational patterns that emerge from an individual's interactions with their environment. One notable example of Cattell's work during this period is his research on the effects of bombing raids on civilian populations. He conducted a series of studies examining the psychological impact of these events on individuals, including changes in anxiety levels, coping mechanisms, and social behaviors. These findings not only shed light on the human response to trauma, but also informed Cattell's development of the 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire, which included scales measuring anxiety, stress tolerance, and emotional stability. Cattell's relationships with his contemporaries continued to play a significant role in shaping his ideas. His interactions with Hans Eysenck in particular led to lively debates about the nature of personality and the role of genetics versus environment. While Eysenck argued that personality traits were largely determined by genetic factors, Cattell countered that environmental influences played a crucial role in shaping an individual's motivational structure. These discussions not only reflected the ongoing debates within the field of psychology, but also pushed Cattell to refine his theories and develop more nuanced explanations for human behavior. Despite the intellectual rigor of his work, Cattell's approach was not immune to criticism. Some researchers argued that his theory of urges and sentiments was too broad, encompassing a wide range of motivational patterns without providing clear distinctions between them. Others questioned the validity of the 16PF, suggesting that its scales were not adequately grounded in empirical research. Cattell addressed these concerns through ongoing revisions to his theory and the development of new assessment tools, demonstrating his commitment to refining his ideas and engaging with critics. As Cattell's work continued to evolve, he became increasingly interested in the application of his theories to real-world problems. One notable example of this is his research on the concept of creative potential, which he believed was a key component of human motivation. According to Cattell, creative potential referred to an individual's ability to generate new and innovative ideas, and he argued that it was a crucial factor in determining success in a wide range of fields, from art and science to business and politics. To explore this concept further, Cattell developed a series of tests and assessments designed to measure creative potential. These included tasks such as brainstorming exercises, problem-solving challenges, and even artistic projects. By analyzing the results of these tests, Cattell hoped to gain a better understanding of what drove creative behavior and how it could be fostered and developed. One of the most fascinating aspects of Cattell's research on creative potential is the way it intersected with his work on personality traits. He believed that certain personality characteristics, such as openness to experience and extroversion, were closely linked to creative potential, and that individuals who scored high on these traits were more likely to exhibit innovative and imaginative thinking. Cattell's theories on creative potential also had significant implications for education and training. He argued that traditional teaching methods, which often emphasized rote memorization and conformity, were actually detrimental to the development of creative potential. Instead, he advocated for a more flexible and adaptive approach to learning, one that encouraged students to explore their own interests and passions. In terms of his relationships with contemporaries, Cattell's work on creative potential brought him into contact with a number of other prominent psychologists, including Joy Paul Guilford and E. Paul Torrance. These researchers were also exploring the concept of creativity and its relationship to personality and motivation, and they engaged in a lively exchange of ideas with Cattell. However, not all of Cattell's colleagues were convinced by his theories on creative potential. Some critics argued that his tests and assessments were too narrow or limited, and that they failed to capture the full range of creative behaviors. Others questioned the idea that creative potential was a fixed trait, arguing instead that it could be developed and nurtured through practice and experience. Despite these criticisms, Cattell's work on creative potential remains an important contribution to the field of psychology. His theories continue to influence research on motivation, personality, and education, and his emphasis on the importance of fostering creativity and innovation has had a lasting impact on our understanding of human behavior. As Cattell's career progressed, he continued to explore new areas of research and application. One of the most significant developments during this period was his work on the concept of crystallized intelligence, which referred to the ability to use learned knowledge and experience to solve complex problems. This idea built on his earlier theories of fluid intelligence, which emphasized the role of innate cognitive abilities in problem solving. Cattell's research on crystallized intelligence led him to develop a number of new tests and assessments, including the Culture Fair test, which was designed to measure intellectual ability across different cultural and linguistic groups. This work had significant implications for education and employment, as it highlighted the importance of considering individual differences in cognitive ability when making decisions about selection and placement. Through his work on crystallized intelligence, Cattell also became increasingly interested in the relationship between personality and cognitive ability. He argued that certain personality traits, such as conscientiousness and openness to experience, were closely linked to intellectual performance, and that individuals who scored high on these traits were more likely to exhibit advanced cognitive abilities. As Cattell delved deeper into the realm of crystallized intelligence, he began to explore its practical applications in various fields, including education and employment. He developed a series of tests and assessments designed to measure intellectual ability in a culturally fair manner, which led to significant advancements in our understanding of individual differences in cognitive abilities. One notable example of Cattell's work during this period was his collaboration with his colleague John B. Carroll on the development of the theory of fluid and crystallized intelligence. This theory posited that fluid intelligence, which refers to the ability to reason and solve problems in novel situations, is distinct from crystallized intelligence, which involves the use of learned knowledge and experience to solve complex problems. Cattell's research on crystallized intelligence also led him to investigate the relationship between personality traits and cognitive abilities. In his personal life, Cattell was known to be a meticulous and disciplined individual, with a passion for classical music and literature. He was an avid reader and enjoyed discussing the works of great authors such as Shakespeare and Dickens with his colleagues. Despite his intense focus on his work, Cattell was also a devoted family man and enjoyed spending time with his wife and children. As Cattell's career continued to evolve, he became increasingly recognized for his contributions to the field of psychology. He was elected as a Fellow of the American Psychological Association and received numerous awards for his research, including the prestigious Thorndike Award for outstanding contributions to educational psychology. Despite these accolades, Cattell's work was not without controversy. Some critics argued that his theories on intelligence were too narrow or limited and that they failed to account for the complex and multifaceted nature of human cognition. Others questioned the cultural bias inherent in many of the tests and assessments he developed, arguing that they favored individuals from dominant cultural groups. In response to these criticisms, Cattell engaged in a series of debates and discussions with his colleagues, including notable psychologists such as Stephen Jay Gould and Howard Gardner. These exchanges not only helped to clarify and refine Cattell's theories, but also contributed to a deeper understanding of the complex issues surrounding intelligence and cognition. His theories, though not without controversy, continue to influence research and practice, a testament to the enduring power of his ideas. As Cattell himself once said, "The purpose of life is to discover your gift, and the meaning of life is to give it away," a sentiment that encapsulates his own legacy as a pioneer in the field of psychology. With his work, he has indeed given us a profound gift, one that will continue to inspire and guide us as we strive to understand the complexities of the human experience. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.